G. Edward Griffin with Freedom Force International. He's an icon in the liberty and freedom movement, the anti-New World Order movement. In fact, he's probably the greatest living person out there who continually, on a large scale, on a big platform, has made scores of films, presentations, best-selling books, Creature from Jekyll Island, traveling the country, the world, fighting the globalists. And we stand on his shoulders today, but he also stands right beside us because he's still fighting more than ever. He's a great gentleman and very articulate, and I'm very excited that he's going to be interviewed in my newest Obama film. He is the last interview for this film that has 14 interviews right now. And then one of them's a big surprise interview. I'm going to leave till right before it's released. But just so many great people in this film. And so we're very excited about that. Also, Jason Burmis is going out there to interview him. He's going to be in Burmis's film Invisible Empire with a big role in that, exposing kind of the architecture of the New World Order. But this just broke over the weekend. WorldNet Daily's kind of copied our story, which we're glad. All we care about is exposing it. The original place was Front Page Magazine in February, but nobody believed it because David Horowitz is somewhat discredited. But we got the actual textbook, and we have the scans of it, and it's up on Infowars.com. Obama's science advisor called for planetary regime to enforce totalitarian population control, implants to control us, CPS taking all children at birth, a planetary government of green police, forced drugging of the water and of the food. And this is a government plan. The book is, as you see on screen at prisonplanet.tv, Ecoscience, Population, Resources, Environment. And he co-wrote this with Paul R. Ehrlich, who was one of Bush's chief advisors. So this is bipartisan. But Front Page Magazine and the neocons are acting like it's a liberal issue, though I have to admit the Democrats are more overtly eugenicists. You know, Margaret Sanger is praised by the black community because she called blacks subhuman. That's the sick, twisted, like Schwarzenegger gets ADL awards because he says he wants to be like Hitler. But if you fight Hitler, then the ADL attacks you. Reality is much stranger than fiction, as they say. So I wanted to get G. Edward Griffin out of the gates to talk about this, but overall, the big eugenics agenda, the plan, the carbon tax, which we couldn't see till they passed it, home inspections, federal zoning, one-child policies. I have USA Today here in my stack that says that. In fact, put it on screen for folks. It says that, the bad economy's good for the carbon footprint, command destruction, how they want to bring us back to a rewilding, a neo-feudalism, a serfdom. G. Edward Griffin, author of The Creature from Jekyll Island. Thanks for being here with us.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Alex. I really appreciate that very kind introduction, but it scares the heck out of me because I think people expect too much.
No brag, just fact. That's what John Wayne said. And people need to know the testament of the great work you've done in 40-plus years. In fact, briefly, how long have you been fighting the globalist? How'd you wake up to them? And then let's get into eugenics.
Well, the actual year of my beginning of awakening was 1959. And that's when I began to read some things that were, upstream, that not the same stuff that I was seeing on the media. And by 1960, I was in full swing. So I've been in this thing since 1960.
Amazing. So we're talking about almost 50 years.
Yeah, really.
Time flies. You know, I hope I look as good as you when I'm your age. You're a...
what a gentleman you are.
No, you're a handsome devil.
I would just send you a pair of glasses in the morning. But
Okay, and we're going to fire out your website coming out in a few minutes, so folks should get ready for that. You have Freedom Force International taking action against these globalists. But eugenics, I mean, in my research, everything leads to that. Our entire society is built for a social engineering grid. Break that down from your 60 years of research and what their end game is in light of this government textbook, internal textbook. It's now come out, written by Bush's advisor and Obama's advisor, calling for a planetary government to kill us.
Well, I had two thoughts as you were introducing the topic. And one of the thoughts is that even though I was not aware of this very latest development which you announced, it does not surprise me in the least because it's just more of the same. So the first thought has to do with if you understand what the ideology is of these people who have been running our government for many years, it's called collectivism. And if you understand what that entails, then you know right away what these people are going to do, because that's based upon their ideology. The ideology is that they must have total control over the entire population, to manipulate it in any way they see fit, always in the name of for the greater good of the greater number, always supposedly for your own good, but with absolute dominance at the top. And so once you understand that's their mindset, and that they think that that's a very good thing, well, then you can predict what's going to happen. They're going to want to control not only your health, but your reproductive rights. They'll control who will survive and who will be exterminated. They'll control what you do for a living, where you live, how much you eat, what you think, all of these things, because you become a cog in a giant machine. So the first thought that crossed my mind was that, well, here comes eugenics again. That's always happened in every collectivist regime on this planet, whether it be communism or fascism and Nazism, or some of these other isms in Asia and Africa right now. That's part of the animal. It's what it does. The other thought is, you mentioned it, is that this is not a partisan issue at all. You'll find this mentality in both the Republican and the Democrat parties, because both parties are dominated by collectivists. So one of the things we have to do is strip out that concept that Republicans and Democrats oppose each other on anything significant. So those are the thoughts that cross my mind. And, once people get the picture of this and they understand that collectivism is the great destroyer of their freedom, then they won't fall for this nonsense about, are they Republicans or are they Democrats doing this?
I want you to elaborate on this, because you have these big monopoly capitalists who always advertise their free market, but really what they want is big governments, big systems to shut down their competition to bring in control. And then, because they are collectivists, they collect our wealth and give it to themselves, and then use the little bit they give back to us to domesticate us. Then why should they even want us here in their collectivist model of everything shared? Well, they want to get rid of people so there's more for the few that are left. This is their whole social engineering goal.
Well, there is a certain element of that in their thinking. They do want to limit the population because they're afraid that if the population gets too large, it becomes unmanageable. Their primary concern is how to manage the population. It's like a herd of cattle. If the herd gets too big, you have trouble managing it. It could break out the boundaries out in the North 40 someplace. And so there's a certain element to keep the size of the herd down. But the other element is that they need workers. They want people out there producing and serving so that they can create all of the fine things of life which the elite will enjoy. They want a working class and they want a servitude class. And
they want our women. So, they don't want to kill all of us, just 80%.
Well, I don't know what the number is, but whatever it is, they have no qualms about it. That's for sure.
Well, the United Nations Biological Diversity Assessment 96 says a world population reduction of 80%. 80 is the number you get from Ted Turner and people. But some say even more, some say less.
Yeah. Whatever it is, if they wanted to reduce it 5%, the principle is the same.
Yeah, which is total dictatorial power.
Yeah, over who lives and who dies, just because of the numbers.
How would you say their program's going right now? Watching it closely for 60 years, to me, watching it for 15 or so, it looks like they've got the power, they're steering things, but they don't have total control, and as they build their New World Order, it's falling apart as fast as they build it.
Well, yes, I can see elements of that. It's certainly not, it's not all in the bag, that's for sure, but I see it as an accelerating process, and it worries the heck out of me because once the dam starts to break, and it looks to me like it's breaking up now, the pieces falling out start becoming larger, and they start falling faster, and so this great outpouring of water from behind the dam. When I say that, I'm thinking of our freedoms. Our freedoms are being flooded out through a huge breach in the dam, and it seems to be going faster and faster. And so I'm very concerned about that. We could come up with some event or series of events almost any day, which they could justify, they could use as justification for, closing down on what's left of our freedoms. They're definitely planning to do that. It's just a question of when are they going to do it and what events are they going to use for that. But by the same token, as you say, it looks like their system is falling apart. There's certainly a lot of disagreement among them. There's a lot of infighting between them as to see who is going to have the ultimate power. But
I guess that's part of it. They've got to destroy a lot of stuff to build the new system, where if they destroy everything, then only their central hubs are left. And so by extension, by the rule of heavenly bodies or gravitational pull, it will pull everything into it.